and she wanted to see whether I was all right. She has a way to finding out whether a person is a fakery, or a person is no good, or a person got a bad spirit. And after she came to visit me, then she took it upon herself to get in touch with me. Well, anyway, she lives in Jackson, Tennessee, and we was going to the Temple of the Sun and the Moon, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon in Mexico. But what had happened was that fell through because Mexico is now in a civil war. So she said, well, listen, you need to come up here to the biggest one of the biggest mounds in Jackson, Tennessee. Now, we know we have the Etowah Mounds, which is in North Georgia. Where's that? Where? Hardersville? Cartersville, Georgia. And that's up 75, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, the Etowah Mounds, we went up there on the November the 28th to partake in a ritual that they told me that I had to do on my birthday when I turned 32. What had happened was also, just that day, they made sure that it was real cold, because the day before that it was raining crazy. And then that night it just stopped and the skies cleared up so we could have a sunshiny day. But what happened was they made the wind was blowing so much until the white people, it was so cold till the white people said they wasn't coming out there. And so what happened was the white people who owned the mounds didn't want to go outside because they had already told Sister Joy, Amun-Ra, that she could not do any more rituals or any type of prayer or anything on the mounds, because they understood the power behind black people going to these mounds, or these mounds of spiritual energy, which is nothing but pyramids, which we call mounds. And so they made sure that the wind was blowing so they didn't come out, so we was able to go through this whole ritual. And that same night, we went through the ritual. That same night they had the first lunar eclipse. They had that lunar eclipse on the 28th of November. All right. I started trying to calculate this particular time door that was supposed to open, which I said on a lot of my tapes, the time April 1994. But I didn't know what time in 1994 because they didn't give that particular time. Well, what happened was the sister that I'm in touch with is one of the sisters influential in my life as far as the spirit, made the channel, and Melchizedek said that the time to go was April the 4th through the 8th. But in actuality, the 8th, 9th, and 10th would be the 4th, would be the most powerful combination of that particular cycle. So we all went down to this particular mounds there because we didn't need no type of place that would somebody would interfere. And she said, this place you can go and you can do what you want, as well as the place in Macon. I heard they don't trip too. The place in Macon that you can also go to. And one of those next spiritual days is April the 17th, so you need to go. If you want to, you take upon yourself to drive up there and do anything personal you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You might get some juice. That's on the 17th, which is when? That's this week, isn't it? That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about May 17th, yeah. Tuesday. Well, that's another trip for those of you who want to go. Or you can just sit down in your house and do some meditation or whatever, and do some fasting or whatever. Anyway, we went up there, and the first day we went, we all sit in a circle, and it was a group of people, only 2 or 3 of us went up this time, 2 of us, me and my sister. And there was a group of people there in Jackson that was ready to greet us, and we sat in a circle that I think that was that Sunday on the 8th or the 9th, and we sat in a circle on the 4th, and we did this did a meditation, and we asked for the mothership to come and lift us up. The mothership did come, and it was lifting us up, but actually, because remember now, we always have some spiritual seers or some sisters, and one of the sisters saw it, and it was lifting us up, and while it was lifting us up, she said the bee was straining because everybody was heavy with all this junk in them, you know. And so I think that Monday we went back, because we headed out that Monday. I think that would have been on the 5th or something. That Monday we went back to the mounds. Now when we went back to the mounds that Monday, we went on this particular mounds that the sister had seen in a vision. She had seen us in a house meditating in a vision on this mounds, and she had seen all the people who went up, and we all looked like a group of Ethiopians, including the Native American spirits, because you remember now, those spirits can go all the way back to the time when we first got on the earth. So the Ethiopian looking type person was one of the most original people. So we all looked like a group of Ethiopians in this house. So when we got up on the mound, we saw this particular mound with trees around it, and she said, that's the mound where they had the house. And so we went there, and as we was meditating, her mother saw this particular Indian figure, a black man really. You know how the Indians, if you look at the real pictures of the Indians, they're black. Or the natives, she saw this native figure came and he did this. And at that time she could see a ceremonial dance going on somewhere down the street in the spirit. So we went back home, and then on the 8th we came back up with a whole big crew of people. And on that 8th we did a whole ceremony that 8th, and it was beautiful. And most of the people left and went back that day. We stayed over, a few of us stayed over. Me and the sister Mintu and sister Maya, Taisili, we stayed over. Now, there was a brother named Yusuf told me on the 8th, he said, you're going to get some real deal juice tomorrow when you all come back. So we came back. There was a brother there by the name of John Tillman. He was getting ready to go back that night on that Friday night. But the Spirit came to him, and he just said, I got to stay. So the next day we got up and we got in the circle in the whole 9 yards. And this thunder dog came up. We didn't know his name. She said the week before she just saw this Indian dressed in white. This time he came with a horse, a white horse, and it was dressed in white. And did he have wings or did the horse have wings? He had wings. Yeah, he had wings. So what I did was, we saw this V in the mounds, and I said, that's the vortex. We said, that's the vortex. So I took this book of law, and I threw it in the vortex. Because the April 8th, and the 9th and the 10th was the same time we were invoked, when they invoked AWOC in 1904. So this was April 1994. So I said, now it is time. And I took the book and threw in the vortex. At this particular time, we was all meditating and doing different things. And at that time, this particular thunder dog rode up on a white horse. Now the sister is seen, and she said, this particular person is thunder dog. Sister Taisilia, Sister Maya said, well, what I'm getting at, he's an angelic ancestor spirit. The other sister got that he was an ancient God spirit. But then again, black man, black woman is God, so that all added up too. So, at that particular time, there was a brother named John Tillman who wasn't a psychic. And they said, listen, they said, one of the people in here, we know, and one of your people is supposed that there's a map we're going to give you, and one of your people will know how to read it. And the sister, Tamakila, went around in a circle and said, you the one that knows the map. You the one that know the map. And the brother John was like, I can see him, but in his mind, the thunder dog kept saying, it's you. He's saying, but I can't open up. He said, yes, you can. You got to think. And you got to try hard. Then thunder dog took a spear and hit him in the head with this lightning bolt. And he opened up spiritually. And he could see all what was going on. Now we got two women that's talking verbatim on what's going down in the spirit world. Then we got this brother that just got opened up for the first time, and he's saying, they're talking to each other saying, yeah, he in the middle and he's trying to come to me, and they are actually corresponding on what's going down. At that time, Thunder Dog said, listen, we got some people here, these angelic spirits, and they're trapped up under the vortex. And they can't get out. He said, but they do not trust you all because you all sold them out with the Buffalo Soldier bull jive. They say, so you must make amends with them. They say, but some of our people sold you all out too. They said, but the people that sold you out had sold us out. So that's just the type of people they were. They sold us out also, and they just sold out everybody for the beast. And so they said, but they don't trust you, and they said they're trapped up under this vortex, and you must pull them out. So we started reaching to pull them out, and they said, you're doing it, and we freed these souls. There was a little Indian girl or a little native girl. She was seeing the whole ceremony, and the main reason why she was there is because one of her friends had gotten trapped under the vortex, and we had to free her. Now, what had happened about these souls being trapped was this. When these souls got killed and didn't have a certain burial, then that soul is trapped into that vortex, or trapped in time, and it keeps going through the agony. So you know that all the bodies that is up under the Atlantic Ocean based on the Middle Passage is going through the same type thing. As you know, if you would go back and get into the tapes when Leonard Jeffries and all of them take the people to Goree Island off the coast of Ghana, where they used to ship the slaves, most of the African sisters sisters from over here, when they go in there, the spirit of that particular person is trapped into that particular dimension, and suffering jumps in them, and they go through the suffering. Anybody saw that film? A lot of women have had that experience of these people suffering, and mainly the women, because the women are the most open. Anyway, so this is what was happening. So we had to free those particular people because they didn't have a certain burial. Now, after we freed the souls, about 40-something native spirits came and circled us around us. These were the ones that did have the proper burial, and they was happy that we got their other people out of the vortex. Okay? Got the other people out of the vortex. So there was this old ancient Indian woman, and she came by, and she said, she was a medicine woman, and she had a last bit of water, and she gave us some of the water to drink. And also she gave each one of us a spear. And they said this spear would be something we can later do with this spear also. And there's some things that you got to do, because you got to pick up your spear right now. Imagine that particular spear and pick it up right now, because you're going to need that spear to do some spiritual work that's coming up to eliminate a certain amount of karma and initiate you to a higher level of spirituality. And I'll explain what that particular spear does. So at that time, he said that on the map is some ships. And so they gave the map with the ships and the whole 9 yards, and they told him to put them in the trunk of his car. The brother John, is some maps in another dimension now, we're talking, and put them in the trunk of his car. Now, to let you know this stuff is real, they came to me and they told me that they was happy of the work I was doing, you know, teaching the people in the whole 9 yards. They told me to keep up the good works, the good work. Then they came to me and they put this around my chest. I think I brought it. Well, I can show you one. I got one right here. They put this around my chest, and they put the wings and the sun around my chest in the spiritual realm. Now, I didn't, you know, and they say it was the symbol of the sun, and it was the wings in the sun, so they put it around my chest. Now, I didn't realize that this thing was on until about 2 weeks later. My queen was looking at my back, and I had this big green spot on my back. And I said, what in the devil is that particular green spot on my back? So I called Sister Tamakila up, and she said, oh, by the way, I didn't tell you, when you was on the mound, when they put that wing and stuff on your chest, it burned a hole in your chest, and it burned a hole all the way throughout your back. And that's what you've seen, is that on your back. And also, too, once that goes away, it's going to be some type of symbols, just like the Empress has on hers. It's on your back. And it's this big green spot on my back right now. Okay. So now, they told us that to go back, and they said that we was going to have to build an altar. And we was going to have to build that altar to the ancestors. To make that union, they said, because what we want to do is we want to make that union between the Native Americans, or the Native indigenous people, and the Africans, the native black people, because we ain't want to subjugate to Africa. We talking about just the black people and the indigenous people in the whole 9 yards that went through that ordeal. We went through ours with that Holocaust, and they went through their Holocaust. They want us to take that and make this reunion. And as a result, they told us to build this altar. And they said, we're going to tell you what the altar was. So when we got back about 2 days later, the sister was channeled, and she came down with the altar, the sister from Tennessee. And the altar was, you need to get you something wooden, like a wooden dresser or a wooden table or anything, and get you, and they said for all black people to make this union too. And then you get you something yellow, some yellow cloth. Make sure the yellow cloth is cotton or linen, something natural. Make sure the table is wooden, something natural. Then get you a blue and yellow 7-day candle. Or just a blue and yellow candle, but the 7-day candles, they last for 7 days. And then you get you a plate full of grain, any kind of indigenous grain to Indians. So what I did was I got some sunflower seeds and some corn, some popcorn kernels. Because that's corn, something that don't, you know, wouldn't rot. Or if you can get the whole corn kernels where it's already hardened, you know what I'm talking about? If you could get that, that's good too. So I got that and some popcorn kernels, and I put it on the altar, and get you a glass of water. I would say get you some little fancy glass, you know. Just don't get no Fat Tuesdays cup or no kind of junk like that and put on there, you know. But get you get you a glass of water, and then imagine the old Indian medicine woman, old black Indian medicine woman, you know, they were black people. and imagine her blessing the actual, imagine her blessing the actual water. Then you take